Happy New Year, everybody, from the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. Tom Callahan and Robyn Leaño. We made it to 2025, but not on a happy note. We're going to talk about that in today's show. We wrap up the Edmonton game. Plus, Robyn and I have resolutions coming, so buckle up, get ready. It's on the way. Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast starts right now.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. I'm Tom Callahan, longtime NHL voice. I am joined by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño. And Robyn, Happy New Year to you. We're into 2005 now, and we have crossed
2025.
2025.
Oh my goodness.
I rewound us 20 years. If only I could rewind us 20 years. Personally, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who wish they could do that too.
Go back to the age when I was, I would have been around 8.
You're a mere tadpole. So yeah, okay, 2025. I know what I meant. I think everybody else. You know what? If you hadn't have said anything, I never even would have caught that. So
that would have been amazing, you know?
Yes, absolutely. So, well, thanks for making us your first listen every day. I'm sure you're questioning by now why you do, but we appreciate you being here. And by the way, if you are new to the show, thanks. Welcome. We appreciate you being here. And feel free to hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to click the bell on the YouTube side. That'll notify you whenever we drop a new show. We're going to have all kinds of fun stuff coming up in 2025. We're going to have some more live shows are going to be added, more content. We're going to revitalize the text club. We have a lot of plans, an awful lot of plans coming up. So we will be detailing those to you here as we get into the early part of January. But Robyn, we got to talk about the Edmonton game. I do want to get to our resolutions a little bit later on. And this is a tough way to end this portion of the calendar year. 5 in a row now that Utah Hockey Club has lost. And Edmonton was a tough ask.
Yeah.
You were traveling from Seattle, back-to-back games, didn't have a great finish to that game, but a chance to kind of jump out there. And if you look back at our keys to the game, there were some keys they hit. Like, I thought they did a nice job staying out of the box, but there's some keys they did not hit. I thought they still, like they've been doing in their losses, too many odd man rushes. Believe it or not, a Sergachev cross ice defensive zone, ill-advised breakout pass ended up in the back of the Utah net. Shocker, I know.
Like clockwork.
It happened. These are all the things that, we talk about that lead to, if one happens in a game, it's not a backbreaker, but it's the cumulative toll that it takes over the course of 60 minutes. And they end up losing tonight to Edmonton 3-1, and then you get the empty netter 4-1. Does it look worse than it was? I don't really know. I think Edmonton was a much better team tonight.
It didn't feel like it was good, like a good one all the way through. I will give Utah at least a little bit of credit for tying it back up very quickly after Edmonton scored the first goal. I felt like it was okay. They were able to see if they can get, make it look even again. But second period, we saw that happen again. And not only that, it was back to back for Edmonton instead of a back and forth. I was like, all right, yeah, this game's done.
Well, and so a couple of things happened in this game. If you didn't watch the game or maybe you didn't catch all of it, Spicy Tuna back in the lineup for the first time since I think October, but was pressed into service because, and I didn't catch 100% of the details on this because they mentioned it quickly, but oh my goodness, I just lost my train of thought, Robyn. Captain took a puck in warm up, or was it morning skate? I don't remember which one it was, but so anyway,
right.
You all of a sudden are losing the heart and soul of your team heading into an important game against Edmonton, and kind of a surprise. And this is what I didn't understand. I didn't understand if it was clear this morning, which is why I didn't understand if it happened in warmups or it happened in pregame skate. Like, it just, I don't know why. Maybe my brain didn't process their explanation. But Spicy Tuna pressed into service, who I thought had a pretty good game, actually.
No, you're right. Absolutely. I feel like Spicy Tuna, he came into the game and he looked hungry for something, right? Looked like he wanted to go well. He looked like he came out with an incredible amount of bite out there, physically and overall, like this overall performance. Like he just felt like he looked like he wanted to score. You talked like we kind of, I think, in our in the I'm blanking on it. In the odds in our preview, we were taking a look at odds of for like anytime goal scorer, and I think Liam O'Brien was closer to the lower end on there, and then they go ahead and tag me on Blue Sky, Tom, and to say, hey, those odds there, look how those odds looking for Spicy Tuna anytime goal scorer. I go ahead and look it up. It went all the way down to like plus 450. I was like, okay.
Yeah, because he looked pretty good on a couple of shifts, had a good whack at it. Okay, I got to correct myself. While you were going there, I had to look it up because my mind, for some reason, just scrambled. Keller was sick. So that's what happened. So I think then perhaps why I was confused on the explanation is I think they were hoping he'd be able to go, but he couldn't. But number one, credit Liam O'Brien with going in there and playing well for someone who hasn't played, or at least given it his all, hadn't played in months. That is so hard to do. It is so hard to just kick it in gear after 2 months of only practicing. But yeah, I thought he acquitted himself well. I mean, he was even on the night, 9-13, so they didn't ask him to do a lot. Had a couple of shots, led the team with 6 hits. And now you talk about a guy being hungry for something. That stat alone tells me that he really wanted to make the most of his opportunity, Robyn. And for me, a bright spot. Go out there, separate man from puck, work hard, and he did get a couple of shots on goal. What else can you ask for from him in that situation?
And getting those kind of players that can register those hits and maybe being able to, as you said, kind of separate the man from the puck and generate turnover opportunities if the best way you can, or just just break up momentum, whatever way you can. It's something that you and I haven't talked enough about. I feel like still when it comes, because especially when we've kind of what's the term I'm looking for here? I guess I wouldn't say given up on, but we've to me, it feels like this team hasn't lived up to what I thought was the Bill Armstrong way, right? So you have Liam O'Brien come in and play the way he did. I felt like, okay, you know what? This is towards that direction. It still wasn't perfect. No one, like for this entire team, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't even close to what I want. But I feel like again, we need to go back. We need to be able to get those hits. We need to be able to get the offensive prowess out there. I want to see Liam. I want to see Bill Armstrong hockey.
So you bring up an interesting point, and I'm glad you brought it up, because this whole thing about Bill Armstrong clearly drafts and assembles a team to play big, physical hockey, which again I think is a blueprint for success, especially in the playoffs. You wear other teams down. You have to be the best conditioned team. You lean on other teams until they can't take it anymore. They break down and you keep going. I think that's a great roadmap to winning a Stanley Cup. But what is the reason, Robyn, that this team doesn't play that way? And they don't. They are constructed for the most part. I mean, there's some smaller guys, don't get me wrong, but some of the bigger players and the bigger names have been missing. And I want to see this team play physical. Another thing I'm going to say is that I feel like maybe there's a lot of individual pressure here, but where at some point accountability comes into it, and we haven't really had a discussion about accountability in a little while.
We haven't. And I feel like it goes to with everybody on the team. To me, I think take a look back at that leadership too. I think we had been a minute. I think it's been since the November slump that we talked about how I want to see more from the leadership group of this Utah Hockey Club, from your Clayton Keller. Yes, he was sick, for on New Year's Eve, or Nick Schmaltz, or associate captain Lawson, Crouse, or heck, even any of the other leader, any of the other ones who have worn an A or just are veteran status. Mikhail Sergachev should be a lot better. He makes a lot of these mistakes. He should be setting a lot better example of what this team should be.
You know what? And I mean, Crouse is a guy I'd like to see out there throwing the shoulder. He's a bigger guy.
Power forward. That's his job.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost, and I've said this before on the show, but I'll say it again. There was a difference for us in Nashville between Shea Weber and Angry Shea. And Angry Shea was a guy you didn't want to play against. Just like I think Angry Lawson is a guy you don't want to play against.
No.
But sometimes he's as guilty of taking a nap as any of the rest of them. And it's hard, and especially when it's extended slumber time for this roster, and then you put in the mental mistakes and things that just can't happen. Again, I mean, I don't want to harp on Sergachev, but you can't make that pass. The giveaways they made, the 2-on-1s, I actually thought Staubert played pretty well tonight. Stopped a couple of point blank chances, breakaway, looked fine.
All things considered, I think Staubert really played pretty admirably.
Yeah, I have no beef with the goaltending tonight whatsoever. But there was a shift, and I'm trying to think. I believe it was early in the second period. I actually looked and then had to look again, and I started staring at the score bug in the corner, watching the broadcast, and I'm like, there's no way this is not an Edmonton power play. They were moving the puck so well. They were possessing, they were wheeling it around, and they were doing some amazing things. They had all this room up top. And this bothered me, Robyn.
Right.
They folded down so compactly 5-on-5 because clearly they're worried about getting burned towards the net. But it gave Edmonton all this space to wheel up top, all the space to possess the puck. Then they didn't clear it when they had their opportunities. And even if they did get it over the line, Edmonton's transition was so fast to go right back into the zone and keep the pressure on. It looked to me a lot of times like Edmonton had a power play when it was just simply 5-on-5.
It did feel that way. And I mean, that just really gives you the separation between a playoff team and a non-playoff team.
Well, a team that ran all the way to the Stanley Cup final last year. I mean, the Oilers are a puck possession team, and yeah, they've had their ups and downs, but they showed at points tonight how they can be so dominant.
They really have. We're going to get some more thoughts and on this game, maybe some final thoughts, Tom, and plus we'll get to those New Year's resolutions as we celebrate, and hopefully this is the first podcast of 2025 you guys are listening to.
Woo!
Well, stay tuned on Locked On Utah Hockey Club.
And the show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a dub. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. It's awesome. I love it. And, I'm a Bills fan. I love riding the Josh Allen train. What Bills fan doesn't? But not only can you bet on who'll win the game, FanDuel also has bets for who's going to score a TD, how many points will each team score, and so much more. So you really do pretty well on your bets there if you're confident in your team, or maybe you're confident in the team playing your team. I don't know how bad your team is. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Robyn, there may be a few of our listeners out there who might bet against their team, their football team, especially if you're maybe like a Vegas Raiders fan. They're having a rough go this year. And, some of the West Coast teams are really, although, Lions 49ers was fun, but
yeah, take a look. My 49ers
your 49ers.
They went from a Super Bowl, making the Super Bowl last season to missing the playoffs altogether this year.
They were supposed to be a darling, weren't they, this year?
They were supposed to be, yeah. I think just about everyone had them win the NFC West. Like,
I just want to see Bills Lions Super Bowl. That's all I want to see. I just want to see Bills Lions.
For me, anybody but the Chiefs.
I think a lot of America feels that way. I think a lot of America feels that, and Canada and Mexico and Europe and probably some folks in Russia. Just they're like, okay, that's enough Chiefs. Nobody wants to see Chiefs Eagles again. We just don't. So anyhow, I'll tell you what we do want to see. We want to see Utah Hockey Club start the year off right. And so, Robyn, when you look back a little bit here, let's just be a little retrospective.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back at this 5-game losing streak, it's not been easy for this team right now to just string together consistent efforts, but they were very streaky this month. So they went through a stretch. They did win 4 in a row. And actually from December 7th to December 20th, they won 6 of 7. And remember back to how we felt like, oh, we're turning a corner. The team's going in the right direction. They're starting to figure things out now. Well, lo and behold, hockey will humble you because now you've lost 5 in a row and you're pretty much back to where you were. You lost all that ground you gained in the standings. And now we're starting to wonder what's going on again.
Yeah, the term I have continued to use time and time and time and time and time again. They're consistently inconsistent. And to me, like, again, as I've said, it doesn't surprise me. It disappoints me. This team should be better. I've discussed this, Tom, going into the opening weekend, going into October. I'd set my expectations for this team. I knew the talent that was on this team, because as you've said, leading into this, I've been a long-time team correspondent. I've covered this team since I was still in college. I was doing Roadrunners coverage mainly, and then Locked On Coyotes show. It's the same thing over and over and over again, but at the same time, I've seen everybody grow. At this point, I would expect more.
And that's fair to say, right? I mean, we've been told organizationally, and for those that don't know, I was in this organization for a couple of years, 2015, 16, 17, 18. Let's see, 16 to 18. That's when it was, 2016, 2018. So I spent a couple seasons with the Coyotes and watching a lot of these players or players that were traded to turn into current roster members. That was what we were told. Mm-hmm. And hey, this is young. It's growing. It's bad now, but it's going to get better. This is the dip. Well, it is fair to say, Robyn, that so 2018 to 24-25 season, we're 6 years on from that. Somebody's got to be hitting their stride now. In fact, a lot of somebodies need to be hitting their stride now. Now, some of them just aren't here anymore, whether they were traded or just things didn't work out or whatever the story may be. Some of them have hit in other places. Some very good players have ended up as very good NHLers on other teams. Connor Garland, Michael Bunting. Not everybody stayed with the Coyotes, and it's understandable. That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But Robyn, they made decisions to keep certain players for certain reasons, and now I don't think it's too much to ask to really want to see this team kick it into gear. The thing is, though, and the Ryan Smith effect, one thing I ask people to consider, it's a different blueprint now because it is financed differently. So, Robyn, when I tell you that, as someone who's seen this team for as long as you have, you've been around this team for as long as you have, does that make you any more forgiving of where the team should be right now?
I think it does. To me, I feel like one off season under, this new ownership under new money isn't really going to change a whole lot. So I feel like I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving them a little bit of leeway. Still have a lot of hope in me, but I have a lot of hopes for how this might be, how this team might be financed and how they're going to look coming up this next off season and the following off season. I will continue to judge as we continue to go, because that's how things are. I especially now, because I have been so desensitized to poor money management from the previous teams, previous versions of the team, and I'm like, okay, I need to see true progress.
You have Stockholm syndrome. You're starting to sympathize with your captors. I can understand it though, because you have been waiting for, and the problem is the old economic model. As soon as players got good enough to leave, they did. You couldn't afford to keep them, and if you did splash out on one guy, that was your guy. The money really wasn't there, and I mean, it was a joke for how many seasons about the way they got to the floor was to keep dead money. To take on the Datsuk, Pronger, Weber contracts and just let them fester just to get to the floor. It's not like that anymore.
No, it's definitely not like that. I mean, like this, and I think that's the kind of the point we're getting at, Tom, is this Utah Hockey Club team under Ryan Smith, Bill Armstrong, and Andre Tourigny is very much different than the day under Tippett and Don Maloney or Rick Tocchet and John Chayka. Like, different, completely different. Those are way that's distant memory at this point. I mean, there's maybe a couple, maybe one or just a couple players left from that era, but they're not part of this part. They're not part of this team. You're with Clayton Keller, Nick and Nick Schmaltz and Lawson Crouse and Barrett Hayton. They're all part of this new era.
There's a new standard now, right? I mean, it's a new standard. It's a new look, and that's the way it's going to be. So, I don't know. That's just my thought on it. But we'll see. We'll see how it's going to work itself out here. We've got a lot of things to talk about, but you know what I do want to talk about? It's a new year, time to turn a page, and I think I want to make a few resolutions for the Utah Hockey Club. Maybe I'll even throw one out for the show. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll do that right after this. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite, memories was, I always say this to a lot of people. One of my favorite memories was when I attended my first, San Francisco Giants game back when I was a kid living in the Bay Area. Watching Barry Bonds, nostalgia right there. Mention that memory. Hit a home run out into McCovey Cove. Just everything about it, unforgettable. I'll never forget that. That was at this point, 22 years ago. But it was really good, amazing. But now Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets to your favorite events, with the new feature Game Time Picks. So you're able to get, amazing deals. This feature filters out the fluff, shows you the amazing, incredible deals on all the great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of seats. I like to always search through Game Time to find those kind of things. I even found one for a Giants versus Diamondbacks game last season. I always do that. I always go through Game Time so I can find those seats. Game Time Picks has really made it easy so I can find the best deal. Whether it, heck, I found some really amazing club seats for great deals at Chase Field. Great spot. I want you guys to check it out yourself. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
Well, Robyn, it is time to turn the page on 2024. And we're moving in a direction now that, you know what? I think we're set for an interesting rest of the hockey season. If you're Utah Hockey Club, I think the next really 2.5 months are going to tell you who you're going to be for maybe the next 2.5 years. I think, and part of this is predictive on my part. I'm not sure, but I don't think they're in the wild card conversation this year. They're around it now. Look, they can go on a run and they can be there. But I think the 1 step forward, 2 steps back approach doesn't get you in the wild card. They're hovering around it, but the more hockey that is played, the more teams you got to climb over, the harder it is, even when the gap is like 4 points. But if you got to leapfrog 4 teams in those 4 points, the odds are really low.
Yeah.
So to me, coming down the stretch here, guys are going to play for contracts, for playing time, for potentially being showcased as trade bait. But I think that the Utah Hockey Club probably selling at the deadline in terms of dispensing rental players, and will then make room for a guy like Marino coming back into the lineup, a guy like Dursey coming back into the lineup, seeing what they're going to have there and being able to make some judgments, but might make some other players expendable, like a Bortuzzo, like a Cole on defense. Defensemen are always at a premium at the deadline. And they have a potential goaltender to deal in Vejmelka, who's coming up on a contract year, who's played well. His numbers are great. Right now, he might be an attractive get to another team. So I'm going to turn this into a resolution by saying, I hope one of my resolutions for Utah Hockey Club is to have them figure out who they are. Not now, but really who they're going to be. And if they, with this club as assembled, believe they can live that identity that they are supposed to be night in and night out.
I think that's a great resolution to have. I mean, I have, for the last so many years, I've wondered who the Coyotes team was, right? I've always asked that question. I want to know if maybe this new city, a new state, new ownership, new identity can really change that. And I feel like it will. And I think that's the hope. 2025 is now putting all of that cloudy past in the away. You can now take you can completely put it 2024 and all previously that's in the rearview mirror. 2025 is here, and that's where you get, I think, the fresh start.
Yeah, I'd like to see that for them. I would like to see maybe a little bit more time for Liam O'Brien. I think the game he had tonight is probably what they've been missing a little bit now, not at the expense of Clayton Keller, but maybe there's somebody else you can move out of that lineup to make room for O'Brien to give him. What can it hurt? You've lost 5 in a row. Why not give him a run? At
this point, it does make sense, and I feel like what I expected what they were going to do is they're going to rotate in Liam O'Brien out with Michael Carcone every now and then, just kind of bring it in that way. I felt like that's what made at the time, even early on, it made the most sense to me. I think now, showing the passion that Liam O'Brien has. I mean, all we got to do is remember his intro last year and last summer. I mean, it doesn't surprise me to show that this dude has passion and just the love of the game. Let's get some more from him. Let's get some more spicy tuna.
And I mean, what do you have to lose? I mean, I'm just looking, and from the Oilers game, but Carcone -1, 11-27 time on ice, 2 shots, 2 hits. There's nothing spectacular there. And I know you love Matias Michelli, but 13.5 minutes, 3 shots, 3 giveaways. Yeah. So that's not fantastic. Lawson, Crouse, he's not coming out of the lineup, but I'm looking at a lot of these players. It's like, Kerfoot is crazy to me. up and down. Some nights I love Kerfoot. Other nights I'm like, what are you doing? But I love your consistently inconsistent because it fits so many people in the scenario, right?
Yes. Mhm.
I've been pretty impressed with McBain this year. Barrett Hayton, here's another guy, 18-20 of ice time tonight, -2, no shots, no hits, nothing. A couple of blocks, and did go 8-4 in the faceoff circle, so that is something. But it just, to me, I think that what they're missing is heart. They're missing jam. So another resolution I have for Utah Hockey Club in the new year is to find their heart and their sandpaper. That grit, that
And
jam. They need
and I,
it.
and I feel like what certainly can help something like that, and this is something I really want to see. And it's not, and I will to preface, this is not a dig on how I think the leadership group is currently running the players, but I want to see, whether it's Clayton Keller as the C or Lawson Crouse and the associate captain, call a players only meeting and discuss maybe what they want, what this team needs to be. So I feel like, maybe coaching will only go so far. Maybe you need to hear it from the players. Maybe it takes Clayton Keller getting pissed off at the team.
Maybe. And it's hard to say. Sometimes those meetings work. Sometimes teams will snap out of their rut. But the thing is, we know they're better than this. We just saw it earlier in the month.
Yes,
Or they can be better than this, right? But are they? That's the real question here, isn't it? Which team are they? Are they the first half of December or the second half of December? Or are they somewhere in the middle? Which team are they?
Well, I guess
It's
guess
a hard question.
it is a hard question because, like, even I don't think any of us like. Honestly, I don't even know if they know. Like that's my
problem.
Yes, that's my concern. I think that's where some of the lack of confidence might be coming in. Maybe they go on the run, but maybe they don't feel like they can sustain it. They need some kind of change to feel like we just did that. We can keep doing this. We are its playoff team. They need to tell that to themselves.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. And they need to believe that in themselves. They need to come into the room every day expecting to win. They need to walk in feeling like they are good enough to raise a Stanley Cup. Whether it's this year or in the future, you need to believe in yourself that you're going to win those games, that you're going to win the close battles. And that takes time to grow into, but I just don't see it right now. And I really want to see it.
I want to see it so bad too. Like, look, I've, as someone that's been, like I said, covering, the NHL for, I'd probably say like, a lot less time than a lot of the well-seasoned NHL writers out there. But even then, I'm now at the point where, like, I want to, I'd love to see a good run. I feel like a lot of there are a decent amount of writers, reporters, broadcasters, whatever, who they talk about the experience when their team's going to run, whether it's like just a really good season where they feel it's a good season to them, or this team makes the playoffs. Like they say, it's an amazing atmosphere in the arena, in the locker room, and just overall, like when you're talking to the players, talking to the coaching staff, talking to anyone else in the front office, it just feels different.
Yeah, and it feels awesome. Like that, it's an energy that you can't explain. But it's great to be around. And you know what? The whole city's buzzing. Even people who aren't hockey fans turn into hockey fans. Civic pride takes over.
I'll even say this, Tom. I got a chance. I got a glimpse of it in minor league hockey, and this year 2 of the Roadrunners when they made it when they clinched the Western Conference regular season title and just swept the Barracuda, made it the second round. I felt like Tucson Arena was rocking.
Yeah, it's people get behind it, man. Everybody loves a winner. Right.
Right.
Everybody loves a winner.
Everyone loves it. Any other resolutions that you have for the team, or do you want to move on and kind of see what else?
You know what? I want for me for the show. I think we're gonna be kicking it into gear, and I'm resolving, and you're probably gonna join me on this because you're the other half of
Yes.
of this wonderful podcast. But we're kicking it into gear in 2025, and that means we're gonna revitalize the text club. We're gonna come up with some new content ideas, some new things that we're gonna put out there, new reasons to be a super fan
Yep.
of Utah Hockey Club and the show. I mean, Robyn is the reason to be the super fan, but I'm going to try to help out too. And just also the other thing is I mean, I think we do a lot of content, we do a lot of analysis, we do a lot of watching games and feeding back. And what I would like to do is kind of in the second half of this year branch out from that a little bit. So that is something that I'm going to put out there on the record of saying, hey, I think we could try to do maybe get some interviews, maybe do some more things that kind of get away from the constant, okay, let's review this game, preview this game, and make it interesting.
Absolutely. I'm sure a lot of you guys would love to hear from some of the players, some of the coaching staff, including some people from the front office. Maybe even minor league staff or whatever. You just want to hear something different, or heck, I'll even add this, Tom. One of the things I was most proud of during my my hosting years as host of Locked On Coyotes. If those that are everydayers that have been around since when I did that show, you'll know what I'm talking about. When I did the quote Grow the Game series, interviewing local hockey individuals, like people who are focused on, promoting their own, getting their organization out there and growing hockey in that niche community. I want to do that, and I want to bring that back in it with a Utah focus. So that's how I'm going to do that. As starting for now here, January 1st, 2025. If any of you listeners out there are a part of an organization or know of an organization that's focused on growing hockey in a niche group, niche community, whether you are Salt Lake City, whether you're Provo, Cedar City, or where's Logan, or anywhere, let me know. You can DM me on Twitter or on Blue Sky or the show. You find even text into the text club once we get that back going, get that back up and going. I want to hear from you, and I want to get that going.
I like it. I'm on board.
That's my big one, because that was one of the biggest things I was proud of. And it made me connect with the community a lot more, Tom. I think that's kind of why when the Coyotes left, I felt it in my soul a lot more, because I got a chance to interview these people. I want to be able to get that connection with you guys.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what it's all about, right? It is about the personal connection. Even as fans, you're there with your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, aunt, uncle, brother, cousin, grandmother, grandfather, kids, grandkids. It's all about those connections, the personal connections you make. And then, I mean, I've seen season ticket holders. Robyn, speaking of Tucson, I remember in year one, there was a couple that met because they had season tickets one row in front of the other. And they met and got married in season two. They met in season one because they had season tickets, and they were one row in front of the other. And I don't remember which one sat in front of the other, but they ended up getting married in year two.
I love that.
And they met through hockey. It happens. But you build family, you build community.
So once again, DM me. I'm gonna open up an email as well. So I'll have multiple different ways you can contact me to get that up off the ground. Because I'd absolutely love to get to know the Utah community. Someone even I think we've had a decent amount of comments, Tom, when people told us we should get to know the community a lot more. This is and I'm hearing it, and this is my way of doing it.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a great feature too. And Robyn, I know we're way over time, so
Hey, it's okay.
that's
point-
where I think we should park the car here in the new year.
Yeah, we'll do that. If we have anything else, we can always bring it up. Maybe as a little bonus pieces here and there.
There you go. Perfect.
But that's going to be it for this episode of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave us a review, like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your shows, including on YouTube. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter /X at LO_NHL Utah. I am personally at Robyn_Leaño. I am also on Blue Sky at Robyn Icetime. Tom Callahan is on Blue Sky at Tom Talks. You can follow him over there. Follow any one of us, either one of us. You can interact with us, ask us any question. We'll answer right back, or on a future episode of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to this episode, and we'll see you guys next time.